All right, I'd say let's get started here. Once again, welcome from my side, Klaus Hartel, and I'm joined here today by my colleague Svetlana. We're going to talk about PortaPhone and how it enables your customers to talk from anywhere. It enables you to extend your cloud PBX to other channels, not just the IP phone on your desk. And we're very excited to share that with you of where we're at. Many of you I know have been eagerly awaiting PortaPhone and the development. So I'm sure some of you are quite aware of what's happening, and we're excited to share with you of where we're at, what the status is, and how you can use this tool with your platform. So let's take a quick look at the agenda of what we're going to talk about today. So we'll have a quick introduction of why it's important, but I believe since you're attending here, you're already aware and you have that awareness of what this tool is and what it would allow you to do. But I'll provide you with an overview of what we've been doing and how we want to help our customers to extend their cloud PBXs. We'll take a specific look at the two streams, I want to say. So one is the PortaPhone web and Teams app, and then the second stream would be the mobile version. So the mobile app that Svetlana will talk about as well. And of course, we will also have a brief demo portion of PortaPhone. And then towards the end, we'll also share our roadmap, our vision for this tool. And as I mentioned, we will also have a Q&A to get your questions and answers on the table and hopefully clarify and clear up any doubts that you may have. So once again, microphones are muted. Please feel free to ask any questions throughout. We will not answer them right away, but we'll answer them in the Q&A at the very end. And since I get these questions all the time on these webinars, yes, we're recording it, and we will make the recording available next week with a summary of our webinar. So let's get started here, and let's talk about PortaPhone. So one thing I think that became very much clear, and I think obviously the pandemic has only speeded this up and fastened this whole development, is that remote working has always been a factor, but it's not going away. So remote working is obviously something that all of us either enjoy or have to deal with, no matter whichever way you want to look at it, but it's here to stay. It's not going away. So, which also means that you as communication service providers obviously need to enable your customers to do that effectively, to do it efficiently, and to do it in a nice way with a tool that's easy to use and it's a pleasure to use. And in the same way, customers expect these days to simply have communications not just on their IP phones, on their desk, but rather also on their mobiles, as Teams, wherever they work. They want to have access, obviously, to their cloud PBXs, to their extensions, to their hand groups, and so on. And this is what PortaPhone obviously enables to do. So why would a CSP need an app? Obviously, it depends a little bit on what kind of services you provide. So predominantly, I would still expect the need for PortaPhone to be for you that provide cloud PBX and converged communication services. But on the base of it, it allows you to extend your cloud PBX to wherever your customers want to talk, wherever they are. It integrates easily with your back office systems for self-care and self-management capabilities. And of course, you can use that app, maybe not necessarily as an additional a revenue source, so you may not be able to, or you may not want to charge for it separately, but it may very well be expected to be part of your offer. So you might just have it as part of custom offers or promotions that you do. And of course, I know through conversations that I had with many of you, I know this sort of tool is expected and is required to keep existing customers that you have happy. So we're quite aware of that fact, and that's why and Svetlana has been working very tirelessly over the last few months to make this a reality. The second aspect to that I do want to talk about is it not only PortaPhone does not only is a great tool for your existing customers or the businesses or the residential customers that you're providing service to or that you're looking to target, but it does also open up other avenues for you to potentially extend your reach as a communication service provider. So only obviously thinking about the elephant in the room, Twilio here, with a capable WebRTC core and your connectivity that you already have with, and the reach that each of you have done in your region of business, it certainly enables you to start discussing with software developers, with app developers, and look what kind of real-time communications they may want to build into their apps that they're building. And you could then be obviously that provider. So no longer would they have to sign up with Twilio, but they might just get a better deal with you, and to you that would absolutely enable you to extend your reach and support these app developers for what they're looking to do. Looking at the advantages or benefits of why or how this can be done. So with PortaPhone, you can launch these communication apps in a very short time. So it doesn't require a lot of setup on this side. So we can support iOS, Android, web, and Teams. So you can see that here. And obviously, one portion that's always very important is the fully brandable and white labeled. So you can absolutely do that. So of course, we support that on our end with PortaPhone. And one of the aspects that usually does come up as well, and again, it's actually fairly easily to support it, is to add custom pages to the app. So not only on the web portion, but also to the mobile side. So this is where it would enable you to add certain pages that make the app experience to your customer specific to your service. On the technical side, PortaPhone is powered and connected with a cloud backend. So it's deployed in our Kubernetes cluster for scalability and high availability. You can see some details here. And I would expect, obviously, there may be some questions around that about the deployment and how it can be done in your environment. And we're happy to obviously answer any questions that you may have. PortaPhone is naturally pre-integrated with PortaSwitch for the contact sync and user authorization. And it will connect to your existing cloud PBX that you offer via PortaSIP, via the SIP protocol naturally. So let's take a look at the PortaPhone web and Teams app specifically. So this will be our first portion that we're going to look at. And then the second portion of today's webinar, we'll take a look at the mobile app. So first, let's take a look at the web dialer and the Teams app. Before we get started with that, I also want to assure you and want to explain that both of these apps, and this has been one of the things that allowed us to do this development in a fairly efficient fashion, is both of these apps share the exact same backend. They share the exact same core. Only what's different is obviously the front end. So the mobile version has, the mobile front end, what's optimized for mobile, and the web dialer has a different front end here as well. So, but the core, the backend is the exact same. And once again, if there are any additional questions around that, Svetlana can explain some of the details there later. So the web dialer PortaPhone is built on WebRTC. It does allow you to, obviously, I mean, we have the existing UI, we have the existing application for any major browser on PC, Mac, tablets, and so on. We have that available. But of course, with the backend that we have comes an API that is documented. So that allows you to also embed this type of WebRTC calling really into any website, into your websites, into any custom applications that you may have. So that truly extends the flexibility of our offering here. So we'll obviously show you our UI, what we've developed, but again, the actual communications aspect can be built into any website. What is also a side benefit of that is we were able to also create a Teams dialer, basically a Teams app, OTT in this sense. We'll talk about it in just a few minutes here, but that basically didn't require almost no development at all. We were able to have that dialer supported, and it will be published in the Teams store very shortly. So let's take a quick look here, first of all, at a few screenshots of the dialer of PortaPhone in a browser, and Svetlana will soon show you also the live demo, obviously, with a call that we'll make here in a few moments. And once again, as you can see here, compare this with the screenshots of our Teams app, it looks exactly the same because it is the same. So that from that perspective, it's a nice experience. On the Teams side, where the advantages lie here is that this dialer, this OTT dialer for Teams, can actually enable anybody with even the basic or the free Teams account to use this. So they could make outbound calls, receive inbound calls in their Teams app without having to sign up for expensive Microsoft licenses and then use direct routing, which is obviously something we've been talking about in the past. So this would be a very easy first step to launch your service into Teams. And then only once maybe customers require or expect additional flexibility, you will then be able to upsell them on maybe a direct routing Teams integration that gives them more opportunities. So with that, I would like to pass the microphone to my colleague Svetlana, and she'll be able to show you the platform and illustrate what we've been talking about in a demo.
Thank you, Klaus. Hello, everyone. I'll do a quick overview of the PortaPhone web. I will share my screen. Klaus, could you please stop sharing? And thank you. 1 second. Okay, do you see my screen? Yeah. We will start from the login page. To access the portal, user needs to enter his or her account number. This is a number from PortaSwitch. I will enter my number. And I need to get a verification code. The verification code will come to my email address. Let's wait for a few seconds. Okay. Okay, we're inside. And this is the main screen of PortaPhone web. Here you can see a quick access to the contact book on the left side, and there is recent calls. Also from the main screen, we can access the dial pad. So you can enter any number and call to any number that is covered by your tariff plan. And for user convenience, we have favorites contacts here. I have some contacts already. And we will make a live call to my colleague Alexandra. I will mute my microphone and switch off my camera in Zoom and make a call. Okay, so during the call, I show you some features that we have. We have recently added them. These features like call hold, call transfer, and keypad to enter some DTMF code if you need this. After the call, right after the call, user can access the call recording of this call, play it from here or download it. And if you need some details about this call, you can access the call history tab. And there is more detailed information about each call with a simple filter on the top where you can select a particular call, find it, and listen recording, download it, etc. And also we have a tab with contacts, with all the contacts. Here you can see some detailed information about the contacts inside your Cloud PBX, and also make a call to the necessary contact. Also, I will show you integration of PortaPhone web with MS Team. I will share another screen. 1 second. Okay, so it's my space in Microsoft Teams, and I'm clicking on the application button and select PortaPhone. As you can see, the PortaPhone web is the same as we see in a browser. And here I also have some favorites contact, and I also can make a call to Alexandra. We'll try to do that. Okay, and let's go back to our slides. Okay, I will share them. Okay.
Do you want me to share, Svetlana?
No, I will share. 1 second, please. Okay, and let's talk a little bit about PortaPhone Mobile. It's our second direction of development in this area, and this is an application for mobile devices, Android or iOS. Actually, as Klaus has already mentioned, PortaPhone Mobile uses the same core and the same infrastructure as PortaPhone Web. So they're in a close connection. The actual idea was to have a complete solution for different type of devices, operation systems, and different business scenarios. For creating PortaPhone, we use Flutter Development Kit. It's actively financed by Google. And this toolkit is cross-platform. Because of that, we can use the same application on different devices. It has wide range of widgets, and it helps us to create modern and intuitive design in the shortest possible time. And for the calls, we use the WebRTC technology stack, which is known by using modern codecs and new techniques in connection stability. It allows us to have high quality video and audio calls. And as you can see on demo, the quality was quite good. What is more, our application is easily extendable. We can include some custom pages provided by you in this application. And let's look at the interface of PortaPhone Mobile. There are some screenshots from my mobile phone. As you can see, the interface is quite simple and quite intuitive. So that's it. I'm passing the microphone to Klaus and stop sharing.
Thanks so much, Svetlana. Very much appreciated. So there's a couple more things that I want to talk about, especially about PortaPhone Mobile, and maybe also summarizing a lot of the questions we've been having on the sales side with some of you. So as most of you are aware, I will share my slides here again to keep us on track. As most of you might be aware, there is already a PortaPhone in the market, which is powered by our technology partner Acrobits. That one is still available. We did make the decision a year ago or a few years ago to start developing our own application, simply because we felt it gives us more flexibility to help you with what you've been asking about. We're not gonna hide the fact that at this stage, PortaPhone Mobile, for instance, is not yet as fully featured as PortaPhone, which is powered by Acrobits. But we're catching up. Obviously, that's the goal. The development is done by one of our fully owned subsidiaries, so we have full control over, and we would invite anybody that is interested in PortaPhone, whether it's web or the mobile version, mobile app, to talk to us about your requirements, what you wish to see, and so on. So that truly, I mean, that reaching the hand out to you and work together on these things is obviously how we always do things, and it also extends here to PortaPhone. With our own development, where we control the development, this is much easier to do, as opposed to us passing requests to Acrobits and hoping that, obviously Acrobits has their own customers. So that relationship worked well for us in the past, but we feel this approach with our own technology is a much better fit for us, is a much better fit for you to help you with your requirements. I'd like to repeat, so I've seen the first few questions here to the Q&A are coming in. Very much appreciate that. If you do have any, please feel free to do that in the Q&A portion of the Zoom software here. Let's talk a little bit also about what the roadmap looks like, what the vision is. So I'll just quickly go through the slides here that we already covered. So what's on the roadmap? What are we working on in the very near future? So again, the streams are slightly separated just because even though the core is the same, the UI or the front end portion is different. So on the web or Teams side, we have presence, and including custom statuses as one of the things that we're working on. Support for voicemail, so calling or getting access to voicemail, attendant transfer. So blind transfer is already supported, but then also the attendant transfer, and then the custom contact books. So that's something that is in our current roadmap for PortaPhone Web. And once again, if you feel there's something very important that your customers require and you don't see it here yet, please do talk to us, and we'll see, and we're gonna discuss how we can make that a reality. On the mobile version, we're with higher priority working on the MVP with support for audio and video calls and push notifications, which will be available in September. We'll have we're working on the contact books and obviously bringing the mobile version up with parity to what the web supports. So on that end, it's we don't have to redevelop everything obviously that the web does. Again, that support is already in the core, but it does require us to adjust and extend the mobile UI to take advantage of what's available in the core. So with that, I would like to open the floor to the Q&A. I welcome any of your questions that you may have. So there's a couple here already, so I'm going to read them out loud, and I'm going to ask Svetlana to help me with some of the questions here. So one of them is whether this version of PortaPhone requires PortaZip. Yes, it does. It does support, or it does require PortaZip. And I believe, Svetlana, I've seen somewhere the requirement in the minimum, even though it's deployed in the cloud, then the minimum here is MR75. Can you explain a little bit about that requirement?
Yeah, I can answer this question. So we depend here not on PortaC, but on a version of PortaSwitch API. So we support PortaPhone web starting from MR75, because there we have necessary API methods that we are using inside the application. So yeah, we need MR75 or more.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Svetlana. Then there's a question here about how many video calls can be supported simultaneously. Before passing that answer, or before passing that to Svetlana, so be aware. So again, PortaPhone is deployed in the cloud. We are able to scale it, therefore, quite easily. So that sort of question, but Svetlana, maybe you can cover a little bit about if we have experience or what our performance tests show about single node deployments for PortaPhone.
Actually, as usual, it depends. It depends on the installation, and the limit will be in a bandwise, yeah, in the size of bandwise. It's not limited by our product. It's limited by bandwise.
And also what we've seen in the past when we talked about the video conferencing product that we're providing, oftentimes the limitations aren't so much on the server side, but actually on the client side, processing the various video streams. So if you were to have multiple video calls simultaneously, that would obviously impact that has to be supported by your own or by the customer's device, by the actual device making the calls. And that limit is oftentimes between 10 and 20. That's when usually devices aren't able to display more streams simultaneously. Then there's also a question, what does the recipient of a video call need to have? So I suppose that would be, Svetlana, could video calls be supported not just PortaPhone to PortaPhone, but also to other devices?
Yeah, if other devices support the same codec that we support, right now we use Opus generally. Yeah, we can use other codecs, but if they have some common codecs, the video calls will go through.
And those video calls go through, or the streams go through PortaZip, and then outbound, obviously, to, okay, excellent, thank you. Are there any other questions for the Q&A here that we can cover live on our webinar? give a few more moments here. Okay, that's a good question. What about messages or SMS?
Yeah, actually, we are thinking about this functionality, and in future roadmap, I think the messaging will be there.
Mm-hmm.
We are checking available technology right now, and if we find proper solution for us, the messages will be there.
Okay, great, thank you. One item that I wanted to also clarify that you may sometimes still see on the screen and the screenshots and also the live demo that we've shared, you might see WebTrit. WebTrit is the company that developed PortaPhone for us. So this is, but it is our technology. So just wanted to make that fully transparent. There's another question here about the expected launch date. So for PortaPhone Web, it is available. We can launch it for mobile. Svetlana, the MVP is in September, right?
Yeah, the MVP in September, and then we will go to production.
Yeah. And then again, for production at this stage is the support for audio video calls with push notifications.
Yeah.
Overview of pricing, absolutely. Please talk to us. The one portion that I can, it's not a big secret, but again, we don't want to necessarily put the pricing here on the webinar, but simply please send us an email or contact your account manager, and we're happy to share the pricing with you. The pricing is not dependent on endpoint. It's a simple monthly unlimited subscription that basically covers the support. It covers the deployment in the cloud. So there's no additional hardware necessary on your end. But yes, if you have for any specifics, please simply reach out to us. Okay. So I'm just going to check whether there's any more questions here. There's couple more questions here. There's a question about what's required for an on-premises deployment. So for a more seamless, more quicker startup and getting it up and running in the shortest amount of time, we would recommend a cloud deployment because we have this deployment. It can be automated. Those containers can be launched very quickly in our existing OCI Kubernetes cluster. Nevertheless, or regardless, an on-premise deployment can be supported. It's a bit more involved just because obviously our support will have to monitor and deploy and set up and configure an additional virtual machine or hardware on your end. But it is packaged in a Docker container, so it's still going to be fairly simple. And for any sort of specifics around that of what the sizing of that machine or cloud resources on your end would have to be, please reach out to us. But overall, it's deployed and packaged in a Docker container and launched in our cloud for the most seamless and quickest startup. Okay. Just checking if there's any additional questions here. We'll also, with the summary next week, we'll also have the Q&A transcribed, and we'll share the recording so you can share that with your colleagues. So if you missed any of the questions and the answer, that will be available next week in the transcript. Okay. One one maybe interesting fact, just want to make it clear on the MS Teams side. So as I discussed, one of the nice things is that you can launch this even for those Teams users that have the free or very basic version. So that makes it a very natural extension of your service. So your brand would basically be represented in the Teams store. We'll facilitate that process either through our partner account, or if you have your own Microsoft partner account, you can do it on your end. At this point, the app will show up even on the mobile version of your Teams app, but calling does not work on that end yet. So we're working on that, but at the moment, calling, as Svetlana's obviously shown, works very well on the desktop Teams app. Okay, so if there's no additional questions, we'll give you the last chance here to submit any of your questions. If not, then I also would like to thank you for attending. Oh, there is one more question here. One more last question that came in before the end. Can we use PortaPhone Web for call center operations? I mean, you could, but I think the question is more about, is there maybe a better fit? Is there a better tool? So it depends a little bit about what specifically you aim to do with PortaPhone Web as a call center operation. In the long term, absolutely. Today, I don't think you would find what you're looking for maybe as a call center operator. But if that's something that you're interested in, yeah, please come talk to us. There are a couple partners also that we're working with for call center support today. So if you do have immediate requirements where you need to support call centers, we do have some partners, some technology partners that can enable you and provide you with the required omni-channel capabilities. But in the future, absolutely. I mean, WebRTC or web support is something that can also be used to support call center operations. All right. Well, for any other questions, if you didn't get a chance yours, or if you think of something after our webinar, please reach out to us, and always happy to have a chat and talk about it. And so you see our contact details here. So please talk to us in sales, or you can reach out to our support team, and we'll be happy to then answer your any remaining questions. Thanks so much for attending. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.